And let's bring in some reporters who are directly on this beat. Kate Nocera covers BuzzFeed for Congress, and Perry Bacon is the Grio's political editor. He was in Kentucky this week covering the McConnell-Grimes primary for MSNBC. Kate, let's start right with you. You were recently writing about this, and you said Democrats are hoping liberals will drive their turnout in the midterms, and they've been talking about more policies to that point. And you heard there what we're reporting. The president today is going to talk about this middle-out growth, a much more populist economic message than, say, he ran on the first time he ran for president.
This is essential for them. When you look at the numbers, the drop-off in African-American voters, women voters, Latino voters is huge. If they can get just 2% of the electorate who tends to drop off, that could mean, that could mean Democratic wins in swing districts and potentially in swing Democratic states where incumbents are trying to hold on, appealing to that populist liberal message.
Yeah, and Perry, you were just down, as I mentioned, in a place where you've got Senator McConnell facing attacks from both sides. On his right from Matt Bevin, who may not win anything, but is certainly softening him up, and from what they would call the center left in Allison London and Grimes. I want to show you, however, what we're seeing nationally with Republicans in the CBS and New York Times poll is 63% favorable ratings for Republicans, 61% compared to 53% for Democrats. We've got that up on the screen. Republicans facing those unfavorable opinions, and in some places it includes conservatives, right?
That's totally right, Ari. When I was in Kentucky, the distinctive thing I heard from Allison Grimes in particular is, and you're seeing this other candidates as well who are running in the South particularly, is Democratic candidates want to turn this election away from a referendum on Obama and Obamacare. Because you're in Kentucky, you're in Arkansas, Obamacare, not that popular. Grimes is really trying to turn this about Mitch McConnell and about the Republicans and about they being the force of gridlock and blocking things in Washington. You're going to see from a lot of these candidates, particularly in the South, a very negative focus, Democratic candidates focusing very negatively on the Republican, trying to turn this election into a referendum on the GOP as well as a referendum on Obama and Obamacare.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing an echo of that, Kate. Perry's talking, of course, about Kentucky and what McConnell's doing. Rand Paul, of course, another outsized name from Kentucky. Take a listen to what he said, because I think it speaks to Perry's argument here that some Republicans are concerned about the attacks on the party and the idea that you can't win on attacking the ACA alone, and they're talking about inclusion. Take a listen.
When we present our message, if we want a bigger crowd and we want to win politically, our message has to be a happy message, one of optimism, one of inclusiveness, one of growth, one of a message that actually brings up the people who are poor among us, brings up those who are long-term unemployed and finds them jobs.
Don't worry, be happy.
So this is part of the problem, is that they do need to present, solid ideas, but in an election season, you don't want to give away too much that the Democrats could attack them with, right? So what we're seeing from the GOP is kind of a holding pattern. Here are ideas, here are principles. We probably won't see solid legislation from them in the next, 9 months, an Obamacare replacement per se. They'll probably release principles, what they want to see in health care, but they know it's not enough to just continually attack the president and continually attack Democrats.
Yeah, and Perry,
they have to do something.
Yeah, Perry, what did you make of that idea of playing the happiness card?
I disagree with Rand Paul a little bit here. I think you broadly can win a congressional election without having any ideas on your side. Look at 2006. The Democrats basically ran as Bush being really bad. 2010, the Republicans won by saying Obama was really bad. Congressional can often win by just talking about how the other side is bad, particularly in this election where the map, North Carolina, Kentucky, Arkansas, the map is in the Republicans' favor. I would say Rand Paul's looking forward a little bit. You cannot win a presidential election just by being the anti-party, and that's what he's really talking about.
Yeah, I think that's an astute point, and I think that goes to how all these politicians we know in both parties, they do think about their own plans more sometimes than the party's plans, and he was at a 5-year Tea Party anniversary, of course, that we've been covering. That's where that footage is from. And the Tea Party seems to think it's got several people that should not only drive the debate, but potentially take over the nominating process from what they consider the moderates. We'll see how they do on that. Perry Bacon and Kate Nocera, thanks for your time today. We are now going to check the news feed as we like to.